Love finances the other F word and want to support the show? Become a patron by going to patreon.com/FTOFW. You'll get special features, a shout out on the air, and early releases. Or if you prefer, pick up some merchandise at financestheotherfword.com.
As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finance is the Other F Word. And we have in the spirit of a holiday season, a variety hour special today. But before we get started, we have Stormy back.
Yay! Look at that.
Back from the dead. He still has a cough. He is looking worse for wear for sure, but he is still.
I think he looks lovely.
See, I'm lovely. Lovely.
That's because she's British. She can't.
And I got it with the British accent. I'm gonna say I'm lovely. How was that?
And skinnier.
And skinnier.
Yeah.
Yes. I was able to, this is a diet. It's a diet plan. I lost 13 pounds.
Yep. So
the COVID diet.
Has a little bit of a lingering cough still, but he's taking cough drops to ease that. Yep. And he won't. I'm assuming you're not going to be covering your topic then today, right, Stormy, because of the throat thing?
Yeah, I will. I'll take it easy. We'll play it by ear.
Okay, that heavily researched topic. It
can
wait for another week. Yeah.
It may have to, because I spent a lot of time on this one.
Oh God, I bet. Whew. Yeah.
We have no doubt at all. And you know what? I didn't even check to see if we had a new country or not. Shame on me. Let me look at that real quick. Yes, while you were gone, Stormy, we welcomed Taiwan.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Taiwanese ladies, they love you.
They love me. I knew it was going to happen sooner or later. I'm going to go on a tour.
So anyway, okay. So Zoe, do you want to kick us off with, to kind of kick off this episode. So we are going to be having a couple episodes coming up where we're going to have some heavily researched topics, but there's a lot of stories that we come across that are interesting and we want to notate them, but they're too long for the music and movie money news, but they're too short to do an actual podcast episode. So in the tradition of Christmas variety hours, we're going to cover 3 mini stories today and kind of talk about those. And Zoe is going to kick it off with us now.
Okay, well, mine's a kind of sad story, but not kind of, it is. I'm going to just touch upon the sad death of Tony Hsieh, who passed away on the 27th of November. And Tony Hsieh is very dear to Las Vegas. He, of course, was an internet entrepreneur and venture capitalist and former CEO of Zappos for 21 years. He retired as the CEO of Zappos in August 2020. He was born on December 12th, 1973 in Urbana, is that how you say it, in Illinois? Anyone know? Anyone want to check my accent there? No?
Is it Albania?
In Illinois?
Yeah.
We're so happy to have you back, Stormy.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, anyway, he was born in Illinois, and sadly he died as a result of injuries from a house fire in Connecticut just 2 weeks before his 47th birthday. He was a Harvard University graduate. He originally, after graduating from Harvard, co-founded an internet advertising network called Link Exchange. And he sold that to Microsoft in 1998 for $265 million. Nice.
Wow.
And then, as I said, he became the CEO of Zappos, which originally was just online shoes. But he grew it massively, and now it sells shoes, handbags, clothes, accessories. And he was the CEO of that company for 21 years, just retired in August of 2020. He loved poker and loved Las Vegas, so he moved Zappos headquarters to Henderson, first of all, and then to downtown. And he lived in downtown Las Vegas and also had a home in Southern Highlands. He, in 2009, right up until his death, he helped to organize the major redevelopment of and revitalization project of the downtown Las Vegas area, which for those of you who don't know Vegas, is Fremont Street, which is not the nicest of parts. Is that a nice? It's probably the most nicest way I can put it.
Yeah, when I first moved down here, somebody was like, "Hey, we're going to be at Fremont Street. Come down." And I'm like, "Okay, cool," And so I did my little GPS. That was when we had TomToms. Remember, because we didn't have GPS on phones yet. Mm-hmm. So I did my little boom boom TomTom. And what they don't tell you as a tourist is that a block east or west off of Fremont Street is like Cracktown. And so nobody told me that. So I'm trying to find this parking garage on Fremont Street. And I'm like, look at this fucking cracked out neighborhood. Like, this is some scary shit. And I was sitting there and I'm like, okay, I got to turn around because I missed a turn. There is a car in front of me, an SUV in front of me. Two people got out and I'm like, oh my God, they're going to jack my car. Like, I literally thought I was about to get carjacked. And then they ran over and did, whoever's house that they were going to. And at the time I had a Saturn.
A Saturn.
A Saturn. Yeah. So I don't know why I believed that somebody wanted to fucking jack me. And it was a manual, by the way. So even if they had carjacked me, I don't know how the fuck they might not even have known how to drive stick. And yeah, so anywhere off Fremont Street in either direction is not good neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the law firms are down there because the court, all of the courts are down there. And so when I used to work in a law firm down there, it would not be unusual for you to turn up or leave, and for people to be copulating, shall we say, in the parking lot, for there to be condoms, to be all kinds of shenanigans just in the parking lot. So it's,
What? I missed that scene? Why didn't you tell me about that earlier? I could have been hanging out at the isn't there a hotel there called the Copulation?
I think it's the Cosmopolitan, but close. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Or there's one called the D.
Yeah.
That's right. There is the D.
Triple D, more like. But anyway, so he started this revitalization project in 2009 called the Downtown Project, and he was the founder of the DTP companies that started this revitalization, and he they put apparently $350 million into real estate, entertainment, and tech startups all around Fremont Street in an effort to just clean it up and make it better. And so he's much beloved by many people in Las Vegas and the area. He also wrote a book called Delivering Happiness, which was all about his philosophy of focusing on customer and employee care. I mean, anyone who knows much about Zappos, apparently it's quite a awesome place to work, right? Kind of out there and cool to work. I think you have to be hip. So I'm not sure that, me and Mel would, well, maybe Mel would, but I'm I'm wearing fucking jogging pants as we speak. I bought 4 pairs of jogging pants off Groupon and was so excited. That's how hip and cool I am these days. Anyway, so there's just a huge outpouring of grief here from everyone who just described him as a visionary, forward thinker, totally generous. And as I said, he was actually injured in a house fire in Connecticut on the 18th of November. And then he was treated for burns and smoke inhalation and finally succumbed to his injuries on the 27th of November, just 2 weeks before turning 47. And he's survived by his parents and his 2 brothers. And you should know this from previous podcasts of ours. This guy whose net worth was said to be $840 million as of 2018. So who knows, as of now, died without a will. So that means he died intestate. His family has already petitioned the court to have his father and brother appointed as special administrators of his estate. But yep, so we all know what that means to, you know, he didn't have a will. So already I saw on Facebook, the wonderful oracle that is Facebook, that there's a petition going around to have 6th Street renamed as Tony Hsieh Avenue in honor of his contribution to Las Vegas. And I'm sure there
I'd be down for that. That's
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
there's got to be. I'm sure there will be many commemorative.
What's on 6th Street? Can they give him a better? I've never even heard of 6th Street. Can they give him a better street than 6th Street?
But it's got to be downtown, right?
Oh yeah, I guess you're right.
Bang slap in the middle of downtown.
Yeah, that was his place. So got it.
So that was his thing. So yeah, just real sad turn of events for such a young, dynamic guy. So
well, and I am cool because I have a couple of Tony Hsieh stories.
Oh, wonderful! Because I don't.
So my mentor, when I was a freshly knighted licensed banker, was actually neighbors with him in Southern Highlands.
Okay.
And the first time I met him, I remember that, you know, she had a little courtyard in the front, and him and the CFO of Zappos, and I can't remember his name, were sitting there, and they kept talking about this thing with 162 characters, and it was Twitter. And it was like nobody had even, like, Twitter had barely made a little, not even a speck of light in the infinite universe. And they had latched onto it, and they were having this very detailed discussion about it. And then when he would throw the big Zappos parties, she would get an invite, and she'd invite me, and it would be fucking all out crazy. It's not like, hey, you know, employees that I treat like shit once, you know, all year, and now I'm going to take you out for dinner and I'm going to flip the bill. No, this was like a fucking event. This was like a club going on, multiple rooms, huge space, open bars, food everywhere. People were having a fucking blast. It was insane. They had crazy ass decorations. Sometimes you were dressed up, and it was amazing. But the 2 coolest things I thought about Tony Hsieh was, number one, I actually had on the culture side of Zappos, I actually had many times that when I worked at Wells Fargo and I was a financial advisor, I would go out with a banker, Josita, one of my best friends, still works there. And we would go sit in their break room, and we would talk to them about financial stuff. And their break room, you know, they had an employee dining room, which is a write-off for a company. And a lot of people have them, specifically casinos. Okay. But this was fucking incredible. They had free coffee, free sodas. They had meals that were catered in that you could eat. They always had sandwich meat. They had free ice cream. They had free popcorn. And everybody, and when you walked through their establishment, you know, if you wanted to sit on a yoga ball instead of your desk chair, you could totally do it. They had a nap room that you could go and lay down in. They had that you could string up, like, at a lot of, specifically the bigger banks, they won't even let you have personal photos up now at your desk, which is just fucking ridiculous to me. And, you know, people had Christmas lights strung up, and they had all this, you know, kind of whimsical shit that just made them happy at work. So when they were talking to customers, they were great. And they had software that was integrated that, you know, if somebody's like, hey, I'm looking at this pair of shoes, it would pull it up, and then it would pull it up in all different colors. And then there'd be like, hey, and I'm sure Amazon has, I mean, you don't order like that on Amazon, but at the time with Zappos, you did. And they'd be like, hey, you have this, you know, we can do this color and this color and this color. And it was very employee centric, and there was and open shifts. So it was like, you know, once you first started there, you had kind of a set schedule, but after that, it was like, okay, open forum. So some people who were night owls came in at 10 or 11 o'clock at night and worked into the wee hours of the morning, and they were happy as fuck to be there. Then you had your people who had kids that needed to be 9 to 5. They were 9 to 5 people, and the atmosphere there was like, you know, like playtime at your preschool, you know, with mixed in schoolwork. And it was unbelievable. But my favorite story of Tony Hsieh that's always stuck with me, and I actually have pictures of this. My mentor was having a raging holiday party, open bar at her house. I don't know, probably 30, 35 people, mix of, you know, people, you know, from Zappos, Tony Hsieh, his CFO, other people, and people who were financial advisors, and open bar. And we're just fucking getting lit. And he was there with the CFO again, who was a great guy, and I can't remember his name. And they had drinks, so it wasn't like they were just sitting there. Well, she had rented, because her yard was very big, she had rented these huge heat lamps to go outside, because this was in December. And, you know, I know they had rented like 4, 5, 6 of them. And there was one of them that didn't work for some reason. And so we're just sitting there, we're like, fuck, that heat lamp doesn't work, you know, and we're kind of huddled around, and we're just going to the bar. That's all we were doing, like drinking as much as we could for as long as we could, everybody in the party. And so Tony and his CFO look at this thing, and they're like, I wonder why that doesn't work. And so they commence to put it down on the ground, and they start taking this fucking thing apart. So there's a raging party going on, people drinking and partying and being festive, and they're outside in the cold with whatever tools that she got them, and they're working on this fucking heat lamp because they want to know why it's not going to work, and they want to fix it. And this is what they're doing in the middle of the party. And I have pictures of this, and I'm like, I'm literally taking pictures of a how many times over millionaire fixing a fucking heat lamp that, you know, for outside. And I looked at him, I was like, that's why he's a fucking millionaire and I'm drunk. Seriously. And that story has always stuck with me. And I'm 46 and he was 46. And that is the difference between his brain and everybody else in the fucking world's brain. When you're at a holiday party, you're trying to get fucked up. This man is trying to fix shit. And I mean, and he was a great guy. He was nice. He was super humble. And when we would go out with him on the rare occasions, I didn't go out with him as much as my mentor, but it was like he was a fucking mob boss. I mean, people just loved him, especially downtown. And everybody knew who he was, and he was a great guy. And I had read an article that he got trapped in a storeroom.
Yeah, it was like a storeroom or a basement.
Basement. I think it was a basement because it was somebody's house.
Yeah, it was his sister's house in Connecticut. But how are you? And they weren't home, just him. And there's a fire, but he's trapped in a basement because there's a lot of speculation, you guys, about why he left Zappos.
Well, they said he had like a candle. He was in the candles. Maybe one of the, I don't know.
Anyway, so Tony Hsieh's passing, very sad. He's going to be dearly missed. And I hope they do rename, you know, that street after him, because he definitely deserves it for sure.
Right.
Okay, so on to 2 more stories that are significantly more lighthearted. Thanks for bringing us down, Zoe.
Yes, Zoe.
That's what I'm here for.
She's like, you're welcome.
Yeah, you're welcome very much.
So this is something that I've been following for a little bit because I'm super interested in it. Have you guys heard of animal cell culture technology?
Animal cell culture? I've never heard of it.
Can I make myself into a cat, or can I make a cat, or is it anything to do with cats?
Well, it could be to do with cats, but I don't think it's going to be in the manner in which you like. So there's a couple companies out there, Eat Just, Future Meat Technologies, and one that Bill Gates owns, or he doesn't own it, he backs it, called Memphis Meats. And they all do a variation of animal cell culture technology. And what they do is they take living stem cells from livestock, and they grow meat in a biometric thing. So like they literally grow like a chicken breast. So
Now,
Zoe's
I know about this. It's so funny. One of the guys I listen to, one of the investment people, that talks about Tesla, because that's all I'm into is Tesla. He's this futurist guy, and he talked about the way we'll be getting meat, the way they'll be growing it in labs, like a brewery.
Yep.
And it used to be like $1 million a kilo. Then it went, to make this meat. Then it went to like $1,000 a kilo. Now it's getting down to like $10 a kilo, which it makes no sense to get meat any other way. So I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it.
Right. And so this is they are hailing this the new future of meat. And so there's a lot of people like me who have maybe tried to go vegan, which I tried to go vegan for a month a couple years ago, and I was so angry I wanted to punch more so than normal everybody I came in contact with. Yeah.
Angrier? Wow.
Yeah, and my best friend Meech, she was like, "You need to fucking eat a burger or something." She's like, "Because I really can't stand you right now." But I've always wanted to go vegetarian or go vegan. I like the taste of meat, and so this meat, from the videos that I've watched as I've been following this, people say that the texture is almost spot on, but the meat flavor tastes a little bit off. And I think the reason why that might be is because they don't have any antibiotics or any of that shit pumped into it. It's really clean biology, like clean meat. And also probably because, so what they do is as they're growing the cells, they're feeding the cells plant-based material. So you have animal stem cells that are growing fed off of plant-based material, so it's completely cruelty free, and they grow it in the lab. And this of course was fascinating to me because I've tried the products that are fake meat and they taste like fake meat. So I mean, I'm not saying they taste bad, all of them, but they don't taste like fucking meat. So if you have a vegetarian, they're like, it tastes just like meat. I'm like, your ass has not eaten meat in a long time because it does not fucking taste like meat. So this is really interesting. And like I said, I've been very interested in this from a personal side, because the minute that they put this in stores, I'm going to try this fucking thing. And if I can, I'm going to switch my entire diet. They're working on primarily chicken right now and beef, and they're going to start working on pork. But the big news out of Eat Just is that, of course, to Stormy's big thing that he loves is disruptors. So Eat Just, the company, has landed number 21 on CNBC's Disruptor 50s list for this year, and the company has raised $300 million, and was the last valued amount on the company was $1.2 billion. And they've been trying to gain approval from the Singapore Food Agency for about 2 years, and they just got it. So are you okay, Stormy? You look like you want to jump in here.
No, I want to see what their stock is.
Oh, okay. And well, they shouldn't have stock. I don't think they're publicly traded. I think they're private.
Just Eat. Yeah, it looks like they are private. I don't see a stock price.
Yeah, so they don't have an IPO, but soon as they can, they're going to be issuing. Not soon as they can. They have a lot of stuff they have to do before they get to the IPO level. But yeah, right now they're privately traded, but they're valued at $1.2 billion. And like I said, they've been working for 2 years to get approval through Singapore Food Agency, and they just got it. They have also been working on trying to get approved in the United States, and the FDA and the U.S. Department of Agriculture has been overseeing the regulation of cell-based seafood, poultry, and beef since 2019. But the concern with having it come into the United States, of course, is that it's going to face massive opposition from the meat producers, such as the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, and which, of course, we would know when we have the Beef Council and all this other stuff that goes on. And they're projecting that because the demand for beef, as more countries become more affluent, for some reason, when countries become affluent, they become bigger meat eaters than plant-based diets. And by the projection is by 2015 that the consumption of meat is going to 2050. I'm sorry. 20. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. 2050, that the consumption of meat is projected to increase 70%. And there is some number in one of the articles I found, and now I can't find it. Let me see if I have it in here. That talked about how many animals were slaughtered per day, and it's fucking so sad the amount of animals. And the thing is that I buy Happy Meat that's cage free and everything, but I still don't like the fact that something has to die. And I found the article right now in a different place, and I'll put all of these links on here. So I really want to get, because I was astonished at how many animals die every day for us to eat. And so, of course, we know that the livestock, if you're remotely a tree hugger like I am with livestock, that they are responsible for a lot of methane gas. They are also responsible, their waste products are responsible for a lot of the pollutions that goes into the river. And so
Which river is that?
Wherever they're close to,
But
baby.
you said the river.
The river.
So is it just one river?
Just
or does it go
river.
into a lot of different rivers? Just the
The
one
river.
river?
Just
It's
the
Just
river.
the river.
It's a secret river that I
Okay.
don't have to disclose to you.
And it's full of shit,
And it's full
basically.
of shit. Yeah, so you probably wouldn't.
Don't go to the river.
Don't
Yeah,
go to the river.
and so they pollute the rivers with the urine and the waste. And if you have the houses like the feedlots and stuff like that where they don't treat the cows good, that is in a very concentrated area. So here's the numbers that I found, and like I said, I'm going to put all these resources on our thing. Is that currently over 130 million chickens are slaughtered every day.
Every day?
Listen to me, every day 130 million chickens are slaughtered every day for meat, and 4 million pigs. By weight 60% of the mammals on earth are livestock, 36% are humans, and only 4% are wild animals. So
Wow.
that gives you an idea of how much fucking meat we are consuming as a society. And so with this, we have a couple different things. They have about pretty different. They've been running about 20 different production runs in order to grow this meat. They've had to show track records. They've had to show safety and quality validations. They've had to show where the actual cells came from, and they're finding that this meat, in this instance, the poultry meat, is extremely low and significantly cleaner and than any kind of conventional chicken, and that their content is their protein is higher in content, and they have more diversified amino acids, and they have lower fat in relativity to it. And so just to give you one of the big hurdles of this is, of course, the price cost, but we know as
You
something.
say it has paraphernalia?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did I say price and then
No,
paraphernalia?
I'm just kidding. It just says, yeah, it's got more paraphernalia. You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to give you guys, as any new technology or any new product that hits the stage, it needs to have a lot of people that hop on and buy it in order to drive down the price. And so just to give you guys kind of an idea about how fucking money intensive this is, in 2013, a hamburger from the Dutch startup Mosa Meat, which I mentioned before, guess how much that cost per patty?
50,000.
50,000. How about you, Zoe?
What? Per
patty?
burger?
Per
Well,
no,
let me
not even
see.
per burger, per patty.
Oh,
Maybe 10,000.
no, about 500.
500.
I'm gonna go
$500?
10 to 50,000.
Yeah.
500,000 or $500?
I'm gonna go 50,000.
50,000. What are you going, Zoe?
I don't know. I said $500, but
Okay, $280,000 per patty
fuck you.
to
I
make
don't
it.
know.
To make it.
To make it.
And so,
Oh, to make it. I thought you meant to buy one.
oh no, to make it.
So I didn't understand.
Okay, so we know that you meant 280,000 then, but
Yeah.
280,000 is what it took at the time in 2013 for this startup company that was doing the same thing to make a patty was $280,000. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I don't know, a couple reasons. Number one, self-serving. I don't know if you guys have actually seen how animals that are housed in like these farms are actually kept, but it'll break your fucking heart, and I can't go into it because literally I'll start crying. Specifically the chickens, because the rules that apply to how pigs and cattle need to be kept do not apply to poultry, and I think that's maybe one of the reasons why they're starting with poultry. So out of all of them, the chickens have it the worst, the pigs have it the second worst, and then the cows. But also because from a financial perspective, like the ramifications of this, first of all, it is going to get a ton of opposition in the United States because nobody wants to fucking change shit. And the cattle company is going to try to say it's all this, you know, fucking bullshit, but it's better for the environment. So just think of all of these massive farms, these feedlots and everything that are going to potentially go out of business because the minute that this type of meat gets accepted enough that people buy it, or they prefer to buy it because of the way that because there is no actual killing or cruelty involved, then I think it's going to take a lot of these people, these feedlots, out at their knees. And I think that that's going to rock the commodity markets, and the ramifications widespread are going to be just crazy. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today.
How much is a patty now?
I don't have that number.
So I'm just going to share with you. So Tony Hsieh, he's a futurist that talks about this. And when he was talking about this very topic, like, you know, he used a kilo, and he says originally, you know, to make this meat, it was like $1 million a kilo. Then they got it down to like $100,000 a kilo, and then $10,000 a kilo. And he says, then it gets down to like $10 a kilo. And I believe that's where he said we're at, or we're about to get to. And my numbers may be off, but basically you can see pretty much what you were saying. And he says, once we get down to that point, it doesn't make sense to have this livestock anymore. It just doesn't make sense. And then he says, if you look at all the other stuff right now, you know, livestock may be grown in California, and then they're shipping it all over the world, right? Well, now you'll have like breweries, because locally within markets. So you'll have the Las Vegas meat company and within that meat company, they're growing beef, they're growing pork, they're growing whatever, and there's no shipping. So what happens is you'll have, because they're done in vats, like a beer vat. And that was the example that he used. Mm-hmm. So if you can think of a brewery, that's what these meat factories would look like in essence. So now what happens is the other benefits besides that, everything's grown locally. You know what I mean? So there's no transportation of the meat and all the other stuff. So it's pretty incredible in terms of disruption technology.
Oh, absolutely. So it lowers the carbon footprint, which as a tree hugger, I love. But on top of that, just think about all the trucking industries that are built out of transporting. Think of all the companies that make the refrigerated trucks that now won't really specifically have to be used as much. Think about the decline in oil production that will need to be used to transport all of this stuff. Think about the actual shipping cargo when it goes out across the world, and all the different ways that it is shipped and how it's going to disrupt it. And I just thought this was so fascinating, because not only is it wonderful ethically, but just the amount of ripple effects it's going to cost. And I would assume that we're going to see some heavy lobbying coming through Congress of people, not wanting to have it cut into their pie. And of course, the deal is in the United States, whether you like it or not, the two groups that you can't really talk about reform is subsidies to farmers and cattle ranchers and veterans. So anytime you talk about those two things, it's like, well, veterans protect this country and farmers feed us. So it's like that conversation is going to be hard to have. So I don't know when that would even broach the United States at all, but I hope that it is sometime soon. And then ironically, I happened to mention this to Marianne when I was like, hey, I have a great idea for the podcast. We do a variety hour. And I was telling her about it. I was telling her about this article. And I'm like, yay, it's cruelty free, and yay, it's grown in a lab, and yay, it's clean, and I'm all this stuff. And she immediately goes to, yeah, but does that mean that they're going to make it illegal to own livestock? And I was just like, that's such a weird place to go. But so for those of you, I know you've heard me talk about Marianne multiple times on the podcast. She actually did, I believe it was episode 10, which was the Epicenter Fire Festival of the South episode, where she talked about what the shit show of the Epicenter concert was. But she's a libertarian. And so for her, when she heard about the meat, she didn't even go in the same direction I went to. She went immediately to, they're going to, if somebody wants to live off the grid, then they're going to take away their ability to have livestock because livestock pollutes the earth. And I at first I was like, I didn't really know why she was going there. But then she mentioned this other article that I just wanted to mention in passing, because she said, like in Oregon, there was an article about it being somewhat illegal to collect rainwater. And so the face you gave, Zoe, is exactly the face I gave when I was on the phone with her, and I'm like, that doesn't make sense. She's like, so from her perspective, she's thinking way in a different direction, and she's thinking, what happens if, you know, this meat becomes so mainstream that now owning livestock is illegal? So if you have somebody who wants to live off the grid and wants to, you know, have livestock and wants to feed themselves and not have to be involved in anything, you know, what happens to those people? And the thing is that first, that sounds like that doesn't make sense. But then if you remember in our episode for the economics of the Supreme Court, one of the big landmark decisions that we covered is the fact that there was a gentleman who had wheat on his property, and he was only allowed, coming out of the Great Depression, they were only allowed to harvest a certain amount of wheat because they didn't want to oversupply the market and have the commodity price of wheat crash and then have us go into another depression. And I think it was like 12 bushels of wheat or some shit. And he harvested 13. And so 12 bushels went to market. And the 13th one, he kept it home and he used it to feed his family. And it went all the way through the courts. And I can't remember if they were going, you know, for him, against him, but it ended up in the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court wrote the decision that even though they acknowledged that one bushel in this example is not going to move a market, and even though they acknowledge that they do understand that he used it to feed his family, thus meaning that that bushel never even went to market, they said that the ripple effect ramifications could be so extensive that they sided against the guy who took the bushel to feed his family, which is fucking ludicrous. So in that context, when you think about what she's saying, I'm going, yeah, I mean, I can see where you're going. So I had to look it up. Because I'm like, that sounds fucking ludicrous. And I'm from the Northwest. How is that possible? So check it. Yes. So yes and no is the answer to that question. So back in 2012, there was an Oregon resident named Mr. Harrington who was sentenced to 30 days in jail for unauthorized use of water. So basically what he did was he built dams and channels across his property, and he was able to collect 40 acre feet of water, which was enough to fill 20 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And he used that water to stock his new reservoir with ducks, boats, and fish for recreational fishing. Okay. So he harvested the rainwater, made like a big pond out of it, and then stocked it with fish so he could go fishing in his property. And Oregon said that he needed to have a water rights permit to use water in that way in Oregon. And so basically it's okay in the state of Oregon for you, and also Washington, Arizona, Illinois, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Rhode Island, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Washington state all have similar restrictions where the state is saying it is okay for you to collect rainwater in a barrel or a bucket or a tub or a rain gauge, but you cannot collect rainwater for certain activities. And this was one of the activities that he was not able to collect it for. So they sentenced him to 30 days in jail. And I was unable to find out if they made him get rid of the rainwater, you know, the big pond that he had stocked. So if you're looking at it from a financial control situation, and, you know, just take out of this a violation of my freedoms, just take that out of it. You know, if the guy was using it, this says in this case, he was using it for recreational fishing, but what if he was using the fishing to feed his family? I just thought that was really amazing, because if you thought about it, if going back to our bushel example from the economics of the Supreme Court, if you had people that live in states that get a huge amount of rain, were able to do this, and then were able to be self-sufficient and not rely on the market for food, how much of that is financial control? I guess that's where I'm going with this. And I just thought it was just such an odd take for me at first, but then I'm like, okay, I can see where the concern would be. Personally, I still think the benefits of having lab created meat outweigh everything else, but I just thought that was a interesting spin, and I wanted to bring that up on the podcast. And I'd be curious to see what our listeners think about that and give us feedback. You know, we have the Google number. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, what was the rationale behind why he wasn't allowed to collect that much rainwater and use it for that purpose? Did it say?
It was because basically the gist of the article was that if you wanted to use the rainwater to water your plants, that's okay, or to, you know, maybe use it to clean something, that's okay. But it was that he needed, and I don't know if it was the volume of water but the way that the article presented it, it was the way he used it, that he needed to have a special permit to use that. But he didn't use any of the city's water. He collected it from Mother Nature and funneled it at his own cost into his own pond that he then again, with his own money, stocked with his own fish, and they put him in jail for 30 days.
I'd like to read more about that and find out.
That's interesting.
Is it because is it more about the creating of the pond stocked with fish than it was that it was filled with rainwater? Or it just confuses me.
And it confuses me too, because the thing is that if it was on his own land, okay, so you can do whatever the fuck you want to do on your own land, but you have to get permits, right? Like if I want to buy an extension on my house, I got to get a permit. So is it that he took the rainwater and then he used it to make a pond and he didn't get a permit for it? And that's where they're coming in with this, you know, BS. Oh, you need a water permit use. Or is it the fact that they don't want, you know, if you want to get, you know, a little kind of, you know, wide swing with it, that they don't want people to have the option to live off the grid? And I don't specifically think it's that, but I think that I do believe that there are laws in place that are designed to protect special interests. And we're going to see a lot of that play out with this lab created meat. When the cattle ranchers start coming in and start seeing that their way of life is threatened, and as soon as the market turns, like you're seeing at the Burger King, you have the Beyond Whopper now, and people ordering it. I've had it. It's good, but I think it's grilled with meat. So I think that's why it tastes good to me. So not as a non-vegetarian, I'm like, fuck yeah. I mean, I can do this. I choose not to, but I could do it in a pinch. But I don't think it's because it's on a separate grill and shit like that. But I don't know. I mean, it's a fascinating thing. And I was surprised to see that there are so many things, you know, that so many different weird laws on the books and stuff like that. So
what state was it again?
It's Oregon, and I'll actually send you the link, but but the link I have isn't it's not that good. I mean, it happened in 2012 in the state of Oregon. And he collected rainwater with dams he built on his property, and he made a pond. So you could probably do better Googling it to get into like the nitty gritty. But if your lawyer brain wants to get all over that, I would love to see, because I want to know specifically why. What was the rationale? So that if it's, hey, you built on your property without a permit. Okay, what if he would have gotten a permit? Then could he have collected it? Or if he would have gotten this license, you know? So anyway, I just thought those two stories they seem not connected, but they're totally connected. And then they're kind of, you know, a tie-in with just the actual disruptor of the whole animal stem cell growing meat in a lab. So I just think it's fucking crazy. And for any of our listeners who want to weigh in on that, we would love to hear your feedback so we can play it on the air. And our Google number is 775-537-4352. Also remember, on financestheotherfword.com/packages, we have financial planning packages on there, which is a do-it-yourself setup for a 12-month commitment at $50 that I walk you through meetings every single month. And then you can keep me on retainer after that. The new year is coming. Get your shit together. And before I do our normal sign off, does anybody have anything they want to add?
I do. That I'm very excited to hear that Biden is keeping Foxy Fauci on.
Oh, is he? Did he announce that?
Yeah, Genuine Fox remains.
Oh,
that was a relief.
Yeah, I just, you know.
There was a lot of Fauci while you were out, Stormy. There was a lot of Fauci talk.
Yeah.
So,
a lot of Fauci talk. Man, it's out in the Fauci.
And every time I hear Fauci, isn't there some word like for fisting? Isn't it actually called something else?
Don't take him there.
I'm sorry.
Sully Foxy Fauci with your disgusting.
But I do think
porn.
it's actually
you perv.
You
called
pervy
something.
perv.
I'm just saying, I don't know. So listeners, if you want to tell us what pervs we are, meaning all three of us, then feel free to call us at our Google number, or my email is back up. So now you can email me at mel@hotmoongear.com and give us your gentle criticisms, as Brennan always says on the Ghost Story Guys podcast, which of course I'm in a love fest with that podcast because I've loved them forever. Make sure that you pick up Stormy's book, The World's Best Buyer Persona System. Make sure you follow Lily Lou Mittens on Instagram. And of course, as always, Finance is the Other F Word, Another F Word to Love is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Target, and Walmart online.
All good stores.
There it is. Hey, who is this Lily Lou Mittens you keep talking about?
So Zoe just gave, for our listeners, Zoe just gave Stormy a 2-finger salute, which, by the way, you can catch this video over on YouTube, and I have new editing software. And as soon as I figure out how to work it all the way, we're going to start bombarding with a lot of stuff. So we're going to have a heavier presence on TikTok. And we're going to try to be doing more so you can see more of Zoe and Stormy's lovely faces.
Oh shit! I'm gonna have to start doing my hair and putting makeup on and all that.
You're not going to start doing shit. Don't lie.
No, but I'm going to pretend that I am.
Yeah, be like, oh, I ran out of time, or I totally would have did my makeup today.
Yeah, I would have.
Yeah,
would have plucked my eyebrows and everything.
You can't really see your eyebrows, so.
That's
but
right.
Anyway, so we're glad to have Stormy back. We're going to catch you guys in the next episode, and as always, thank you for listening. Bye.
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 Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.